What's up, everybody? Ginger and Jeremy here with you, back again for another episode.
Yep.
How you doing?
Good. Yeah. Just starting off the morning right, a little latte my friend brought me.
I like it.
So great. Good morning.
So today we want to talk about you growing up in a large family, because you did grow up in a large family.
I did. Yeah.
And I think probably most of our listeners can't relate to having 18 siblings. I'd be curious to know maybe the amount of siblings. Yeah, I'd be curious how many siblings some of our listeners have, if anybody rivals 18.
Yeah.
Maybe goes above it.
Yep.
You've met families with more children than you have.
Yeah, I have. I think most of them, though, are not like all biological.
Oh, really?
So that's something that I think that like maybe, like they adopted some. We had family friends who adopted quite a few kids. So they were like in the 20, I can't remember, 23, 21, 23, somewhere around there number.
Okay. How many would have been adopted?
Half of them biological, maybe the other half adopted.
Do you have any friends who had more biological children than your family did?
Not any friends. We had, of course, the Bates, our friends, have the exact same number.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know people who have had 19 kids, but nobody with 20?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I've heard of people, like I've met a couple of people out and about, but I didn't have any friends who had more kids than us.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Interesting. So I want to talk about what it was like growing up with 18 siblings.
Yeah.
Because I can't relate to that. I know a lot of our listeners probably can't and are fascinated by that. So what was life like with 18 siblings? Was there ever a dull moment in the house?
No, there was never a dull moment. It was so much fun. I feel like there was always somebody to hang out with. And so we kind of like had sections in our family. So we had the older ones, the older section, the middles, and the youngers. And so the older section, I was like the bottom of that older section for the longest time. And so I'm the sixth child in line. And so it kind of cut off there. And then it went to the middles. Trying to think of where the middles even landed. And then down to the littles, which is probably like Jackson on down.
Did you feel like you were the youngest child then?
No. I mean, for a season, I was the youngest child. So it was interesting because I think like whenever my parents would decide who was going to go to like a political event, like where my dad was like, he was a state rep for 2 terms. He served 2 terms in the Arkansas State House. And so whenever he would go to these events, like if he would go to the Capitol or he would go to like some special dinner, he would usually take the older kids with him. And sometimes it was the 4 oldest for a while when I was really young. And then I kind of like got bumped up with Jessa. We were in the older group once they had like, 8, I don't know how many more kids, 5 more kids below us or something.
So there was like, did you guys actually label yourself as like the older, the middles, and the younger?
Yeah. It was kind of like that. In my mind it was. I think so. Because they would always say the older ones are going to go do this. The younger kids are going to stay home. And then the middle ones were kind of just like, we knew what all they were allowed to do. So they wouldn't go to the nicer events usually because they were too young.
Bummer.
And it was just how we decided who was going to get to be a part of things like trips to El Salvador.
Oh, wow.
For a while, it was just like the older kids. And then eventually it was like olders and middle. And the younger kids now are going.
Right.
So
they just had to wait their turn.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, for sure. Until they were older.
Yeah. It's funny because you have in a family like mine with 3 kids. So it's my older sister, Valerie, middle brother, Chuck, and then myself. Same dynamics, except multiplied by 6 or 5.
Yeah. And I think like you even see like the personality tendencies, like with the older kids, you can have like a really strong leader. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have one who's more chill, the one who's rambunctious.
Have you seen that repeat itself?
Yeah, it does. It definitely repeats itself. I think in larger families, you see that there's like some sort of a leader, like personality who just is like a take charge of each of those sections.
So in the middle group, who would that be, you think, for your family?
I think like Joy kind of was that.
Was she in the middle group?
She was, yeah.
Oh, bummer.
I know, because she was
close.
too young. She was so young.
Close.
She was like, quite a bit younger than all of us. And now like you wouldn't even know it because once you get older, your siblings grow up and then it feels like you're all the same age. I mean, she has more kids than me now, and she seems like so much further ahead, even though she's like my little sister.
How much younger is she?
Oh goodness, I don't remember.
It's got to be only a year or two.
Oh no, we're like maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe.
I didn't know that.
Because I'm 30.
Oh,
wait,
you've
5
got
years.
some boys in between.
5 years. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Because it's me,
I was
and
just
then it's
thinking girls, and
Joseph,
I'm
Josiah,
like,
Joy.
yeah. I was like, but she's the next girl. But
yeah. So she was kind
a
of.
few boys.
She
Yeah,
like stepped up and kind of was more of like a take charge personality, for the middles, and then because I think it was just because there were so many boys around her. She had 2 above her and 6 below, and so she was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna just like tell you guys what you need to do.
I wonder how accurate those things are about, the oldest is going to be this leader, the second is going to be a follower, the third's going to be.
It doesn't always play out
but
perfectly.
We've seen that with Felicity and Evie.
Yeah, but some people have like a more chill firstborn, and that's it's not always. I think firstborns are like, they'll say you have a firstborn tendency of like being a leader, but some firstborns are not like that, and they're more chill.
Yeah. So you being the 6th, what personality traits did you? What are you supposed to
I was a
fall
follower.
into?
I'm like the baby. I was like a follower. So I was just very like, I just didn't want to get in trouble. I'd see everybody else and what they were doing. And so if like a couple of the ones above me who had stronger temperaments were pushing against something, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to do that because I really don't want to get in trouble. So I think like I learned from the older kids, and then I also wanted to be a part of it, a part of what they were doing.
Right.
So I think I may have, I don't know if I was that mature. I think I was just more chill than some of the ones right above me. So I kind of got sandwiched with them and got to do more.
Do you think you avoided catastrophe more often than they did?
Probably.
But do you
just
think,
out of temperament.
do you think
like
they
my
had more
temperament
fun?
was chill. I don't know. Sometimes, yes. Probably.
You've always told stories about like Jessa just being, and then having you, her setting you up for stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Jessa would talk about that. Like we were definitely besties, but at the same time, like if she did something, then she would tell like Joe, who was younger than me, like, okay, go pull Ginger's hair. And then he would do it, and then he'd be the one who'd get in trouble, of course. And so, like, I was kind of in between, but also that only lasted like when we were tiny. But once we were older, like we were best friends, inseparable.
That's cool. So, was there ever a dull moment in your house? I mean, you had.
When
we've gone back to visit, it's like there's constantly something.
There's always something happening, and so whether that was like a game of kickball was happening in the backyard, somebody was. Wanting to go for a walk down to the pond. Like we would all we'd have like 3 of us go together. There was somebody going to the grocery store. There was somebody working on a real estate project. A kid, like somebody was fixing a car. And so you could basically like go wherever you wanted and just catch a ride with whoever the driver was, whoever was old enough to drive by themselves. And there was always something going on, I feel like, at our house.
Yeah. So you were never bored. Walk us through a day in the life with 18 kids, or 19 kids, but 18 siblings.
At what season of life, though?
So you wake up on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
You've had the weekend. Let's say it's in the summer because that'll be more fun. I mean, what would happen? You'd wake up in your room. You'd have your 9 sisters. Yep. And
not 9 sisters though, because there are 9 girls total. So
8 sisters.
Yeah. And then it was interesting. So like, I feel like it depends on what season of life we're talking about, because pre-show it was a different life, and that was like, I don't know, we do probably even more things together because we were very young. So my parents would do, like, if it was in the summer, we would like go on bike rides a lot, and so my dad would like figure out how to get us all bikes and make sure all the tires were aired up, and then my mom would like drive a 15-passenger van with a trailer attached to it. She'd follow us. We would like go on these family bike rides until we just couldn't ride anymore. And then he'd throw a bike on the trailer. We'd hop in the van. So like we did a lot of those fun things in the summer. Yeah. But like waking up in a room full of the girls, it was like, okay, we're all getting ready. Like in our teenage years, we're all getting ready at this, like we had like a, what is it called? It's like a vanity thing, like in our bedroom.
Ooh,
it had 2 sinks outside of the bathrooms. We had 2 bathrooms with sinks and showers, just full bath in our room. And then we have the 2 vanity sinks there. And so typically somebody would be getting ready and they would be like doing their hair, their makeup, finding what they're going to wear. So we had like a big clothes closet downstairs, but then eventually like we made a girls' closet upstairs with like our clothes, which was helpful because especially if we were filming, we didn't want to go downstairs and like have to be in our pajamas, go downstairs, find what we were going to wear, then come back up because half the time the crew was going to be down there.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to look like somewhat presentable before they got there, you need to get up early.
What's the longest you think you've had to wait for the bathroom growing up?
I don't know. I think when we were younger, that was more of a problem.
Because you had the smaller house,
we only
right?
had, I think we had 2 bathrooms in most of our rental homes. And like the home that we owned, the Johnson Road house, it had like, I think it was like 1.5 baths. Maybe not. No, it had 2 full baths. But it was like constantly aligned and the water would not stay hot very long. So if you wanted a hot shower, you need to be one of the first 2 or 3 in there.
Did that ever motivate you to wake up early?
No, never. I like my
You valued sleep more than
so
hot
like
water.
you could just shower or get a bath like later in the day.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what a lot of us did. We just kind of like alternated. We didn't have like a set schedule for that stuff. So yeah, there were times where you'd have to wait a while for the bathroom because there are just so many people. And I think once we moved to the big house, that's probably what we were most excited about was to have, I think it's 9 bathrooms.
Whoa.
That we had.
I didn't know you had 9 bathrooms.
Yeah, it was a lot because like there were.
I guess I've never counted, but.
Yeah, 2 in the girls' room, 2 in the boys' room, 1 in my parents' room. Downstairs we had, some of them were half baths. We had a room that like my grandparents lived in that had one. There was another 2 half baths downstairs, another full bathroom. We had like a lot of bathrooms. And so I don't know if I got all of them there, but anyhow, It was crazy. So we were excited about that though. Like that was one of our things we were most excited about, to like have more bathrooms, especially as you get older. It's like kids need to be able to spread out. So it was nice.
Did you have any friends growing up who only had like 1 or 2 siblings?
Not that many. No. I mean, like we had cousins that would have like, that would be like an only child or have 1 sibling. But most of our friend groups were from big families.
With your cousins, did you ever think like, wow, what life is interesting with only 2 siblings?
Oh yeah, for sure. I felt like when I looked at them, I'd be like, oh man, they get everything they want.
Oh, so you got like a little jealous when you.
Well, I wouldn't be jealous of it. I was happy I had my siblings, but I would also look and be like thinking, oh man, they just kind of have a different life like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't ever think any more about that. I just noticed different things like that.
I just remember when we got married and it just seemed a lot slower and quieter.
Yeah, for sure. It was so quiet. Moving into an apartment with you in Texas, I just thought, oh my goodness, this is so quiet. I missed the chaos of the big house. And then I went back, a year later. I mean, we had visited multiple times before, but I think it took me about a year or 2 to go back and visit and be like, oh wow, this is really chaotic. Like going back to visit my family is so much fun, but it's also so crazy because there's so many people and you get used to the quiet. And so I think that was something that I noticed was just like how much noise there was with my family. And it was like really, really interesting, to like step back and look and think, oh, how did I sleep?
Yeah.
How did I sleep
with
in
all
the
the noise?
With the noise, yeah.
Well, you still like some white noise on to go to sleep. So.
Yeah, I actually do. I think that was because I had the kids in the room.
Yeah.
And anytime that we would travel and I'd forget to like bring the white noise machine, I'd be like, it's too quiet. I can't sleep. It's really funny.
So every aspect of life is different when you have 19 kids, because getting in the car takes an hour.
Oh, it takes forever. And I feel like there were so many times where we would get out the door, somebody would be missing shoes. of course, kids didn't like. My mom was really good about like wanting us to look presentable when we went out, and so she was like really organized in a lot of those ways. And so she would be like, "Okay, you need to fix your hair, you need to get dressed, get your shoes on, get ready to leave by this specific time." But I think that the phrase like Duggar time kind of just ran because we were late a lot for a lot of things, just because it's so many people to like corral, get out the door.
Yeah.
And I feel it. I mean, even with just our girls, I have so much trouble getting out the door because I'm only packing like one diaper bag and then all their, their snacks they'll need. If we're going somewhere they need to be quiet, I'll take like activity books, water bottles, make sure they have their hair fixed and all of those things. It takes so long with 2 kids, and then multiply that, it's just like wild.
I'm just trying to think of 9 girls. So the guys I feel like would be pretty, they just grab their shoes, they run out there, they might be covered in some mud.
Yeah.
But especially as the girls are getting older and wanting to be more presentable. And,
yeah.
I mean, how long did that take for
crazy.
9 girls to get in the van or the bus?
Yes. And that's where I think like, especially when we traveled a lot, we travel on our family bus, and that was a different dynamic. That's when you would feel the difficulty of one bathroom on a bus.
Yeah, because the bus had one, yeah.
We were on the road a lot. And so when we do those longer like trips for whatever it was, if it was book signings, if it was trips for the show, then we had one bathroom on the bus, and we would often, like we had all the bunks. Most of us had our own bunk. Some of the kids would sleep on the couches in the front and the back. And then we would like clear them out of the back section and use that as a changing room. That way people could get changed. But whenever we would like wake up, my dad would be like, okay, we're like, 30 minutes out from our destination. We all need to be ready to get off the bus. We're going to go in and sing and play somewhere, or we're going to do this event, or they're going to film us there. And so we had like 30 minutes to get ready, and you just had to like figure out how to do that with that many people on the bus. And often it was also like not just the 19 kids at that point. It was a couple of the couples who had a couple kids too.
Whoa.
And they would travel with us on the bus. And so it was packed.
So for people who are listening but haven't seen this bus, explain this bus experience.
Yeah.
Because I was on that bus a couple of times.
Yeah. 45 feet
bus.
long, Prevost entertainer. And so it has bunks throughout. I think we had 9 bunk beds that were not bunk beds, but like beds that were bunks.
Yep. So how many on each side of each side of the bus?
So let's see.
3 beds?
Wait, actually 12. Did I say 9? 12. Because we did have both sides. My dad had him add some to where it could change from a seat to a bunk. And so when you're driving, it would sit like a seat. And then when at night we would put it down into a bunk. And so those had 12. So yeah, you had 6 on each side, 6 on the left, 6 on the right. And that's in the mid section of the bus.
Right.
In the very back, he also had them add bunks. And so I can't remember how many were back there. But if we had any of the couples, they would usually stay back there with their kids. And that would be their family room. And then all of the rest of the kids would have to just find a spot in the front on the couches. There were a couple front couches. And then there was like a little table area with like a booth basically.
Yep.
And then there was like a small kitchen like you would have like in an RV.
Right.
No shower on the bus. And so we would have to just like stop and get like a hotel room, or we would every once in a while I guess like use an RV park.
Okay.
But not all the time. That was kind of more rare. Or we would just get to our destination. If we were staying near a family, they would like let us park there, plug in, and use their showers.
So not only is it 18 or 19 kids, I keep thinking 18 siblings, but 19 kids in the house. You guys were on the road a lot.
Yeah.
In basically one room.
Yeah, crazy.
With wheels.
It was so crazy. And it's 45 feet long, so that's a good space, but not with that many people. And then sometimes we would have friends travel with us too, and then it would be really crowded.
Yeah.
And so it was an experience for sure. And we would have to pack the bus too. So you think about that many people and a ton of luggage. So underneath it had these massive compartments that you would like, you could pull the handle up and it was like tall. You could crawl under there. And we put hanging racks under there that way we could just hang up our clothes instead of having to use suitcases. So we had like basically massive closets. So when we would wake up in the morning, we'd be at an event, we'd stop, and we would grab everyone's clothes for that day. And Jess and I would usually pack all of the kids' clothes. Sometimes even like the older teenage boys would be like, oh, I don't care. Just get me clothes that are nice. So we would do the shopping for them. A lot of times we would pack the clothes. We would help get the groceries for the trip. And we would try to do, like, back in the day, we were all about like color coordinating everybody. So we would not match. We hated matching, but my parents were like, oh, we want you to kind of coordinate at least. So we would pick out the outfits. That way they would be somewhat stylish. And so we'd look at Brooks Brothers catalogs. We'd be like, okay, what should we get the kids? And we could not afford it. So we'd go to the thrift store and we'd buy whatever we could find that looks similar to that.
Wow. That's incredible.
It was wild.
So it's safe to say you're not claustrophobic.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I am after all that. I don't know.
But being in that tiny space.
No, you can't.
So many
you can't
people.
be. I did hate the bottom. Like, the bottom bunks were great.
Yeah,
but I
what
also
bunk did
felt
you
like
choose?
I didn't like it. Before they changed out the bunks, the middle bunk was great. I loved it because it was like you could just kind of climb out of bed easier, and it was great. Then the bottom bunks, I didn't want to be on the bottom bunk after they put in the like bench that changed into a bed.
Why?
Because those were electric. You could push the button and it would come down. And so I was afraid that I was going to get squished under there. No one ever did that, but we'd always have to check to make sure no kids were sleeping before you'd put the seat down. But you could bump
Wow.
it. So sometimes they'd push it and we'd be like, no, somebody's under there. Don't push the button. And because it would just start to lower and it would turn into a couch. And somebody could be on the bottom.
But
when you were driving, you'd want to be on the bottom bunk.
Yeah.
Because that way you wouldn't roll off.
Okay.
Because of the top, like,
oh yeah,
I got the top bunk a couple times.
You almost rolled off.
Yeah.
Huh?
We put a couple of the little, like, not little, but like 10-year-old kids up there, and it was fine. But like, there were a couple times I was on the top bunk, and depending on who was driving, you'd almost roll off the bunk. And so I was like, I don't like that. I don't like being so high.
Why? Because some people would drive a little more.
Yeah, they'd drive kind of crazy or take a curve really sharp. John was the best. He's the best driver. I think that's where I trust John so much with his driving, with his pilot skills.
Yeah.
That
guy is
he
good.
is very good.
Yeah.
And so, like, he drove the bus through New York City, and it was so tight. I mean,
what was
literally,
that like?
literally, like, on either side of the bus, it was like you had. I mean, he was gonna scrape the thing. We thought, and people were like, "You're crazy." It was insane. I don't know how he did it.
So in New York,
Yeah.
people are just constantly honking at each other.
Yeah.
And the cabs are the worst.
Yeah.
Zooming through. Were people just in awe of this bus coming? I mean, I guess they've had tour buses and
yeah,
things
they
go
have
through.
tour buses go through, but I think in some of the sections where he was going through, they were just shocked that he made it, because it was like you had less than like an inch, what felt like less than an inch on either side.
Yeah.
And he was able to squeeze that thing through.
That is wild.
So yeah, anytime John was driving, I could just rest. I did drive the bus 12 hours.
I know. Yeah.
12 hours. And I was like, I think I just had my license. May have been 16 or 17. My dad let me drive it 12 hours through the Tennessee mountains.
That's awesome. You're a great driver.
Well,
my dad
was like really trusting of us drivers.
Yeah.
We would get our permit at 14 in Arkansas. And before that, we would have to go through my dad's driving academy, which was awesome because he was very particular about if we were ready for the road. And he would quiz us on our written tests. And so we would get our driver's manual, and we would all have to like sit down with him. And if we passed my dad's driving instruction, then he would let us go and take the written test. And so I think most of us passed like immediately because he would have to quiz us, and then he would take us out immediately. I remember the first time I was 14 and I got my permit. I think I was driving a 15 passenger van, more than likely. And I remember he was like, "Oh, take a left here." And I was like, "But that's the interstate." And he said, "Exactly. Get on the interstate." There was like a little bit of construction happening. I remember they had up some of those like concrete wall barrier things on the side. And I thought, "Oh, this is crazy. Like, I am getting on the interstate." And he said, "Now get up to 70. They're all going 70. You need to stay with the speed of the cars around you." So I just started going, and it was insane. But after that experience myself, I was the worst backseat driver, or I just hated riding with my siblings who were just starting to drive, because my dad would let them drive the entire family to church. And so I would start to look and see, like, once we got older, then we would start to get like SUVs. My dad started buying like Suburbans, And so he would say, okay, whoever is in the car first gets to drive to church. Like that was kind of the rule. And so I would either try to get out there quickly, get ready, get in the driver's seat because I did not want to ride with the 14-year-old driver. It was scary.
Yeah, 14. You just said 14-year-old driver. I don't know if you guys know this. In Arkansas, you get your permit at 14.
It's just a written test.
But
and
you can
then
drive
later,
the vehicle at
and
14.
you drive the vehicle, yeah, but you don't have to do any driver's ed.
That's
You
got to
just-
be the lowest age in America.
I don't know. I feel like there have to be other states that are like 13, like farm
I mean,
farm
a
areas.
14-year-old
I don't know.
driving.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they just do like the written test, and then they don't take their driver's part until later. And so you're on the road not knowing if this person can drive or not. But my dad was very, very calm. He would always stay so chill, you know, like you're kind of just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he was the most chill instructor when it came to driving.
Ginger, I've met a lot of 14-year-olds, and I don't think there's a single one I've met that I'm like, I think he should be driving.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, that's
true.
wild. I wonder if there's other states that do that.
I don't know.
But so did you get yours at 14?
Oh, all of us did.
Really?
Yeah, like it was
That's why
the
you're such a
thing.
great driver. You've been driving for 4 decades by the time
It's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you could drive anything.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I could, but
Because that
I don't
bus is
know.
massive.
it is huge, 45 feet.
Yeah,
It was
that's
crazy.
huge.
Taking turns. I didn't have to do too many of those because we were interstate driving, but it was scary because I was driving through the Tennessee mountains and you have to take it easy. You have to make sure that you don't burn the brakes out. And they had the runaways for trucks. And I kept looking at those. I was like, hopefully I don't have to use it. It was wild.
Did you guys ever have to use a runaway?
No.
That's
no,
good.
Never. But that's where my dad would instruct me too. Like he came up whenever I was going through the mountains. I was like, should I pull over? He's like, no. And he just told me ease on the brakes. Don't hold it down.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to burn them out. So he was like instructing me what to do when I went through that section. That was like scary to drive.
So we just moved and I got a 26-foot truck. And that thing was huge. But to have such a large family where to transport your family, you need a 45-foot vehicle. That's wild.
It is crazy.
And then even then you guys were tight.
Yeah, it was really tight. We could have really used 2 of them to actually be comfortable and spread out and stuff. But we loved it. I love traveling on the bus. We went all over.
You know how
States.
artists used to put Justin Bieber on the side of their tour bus? You guys should have had the Duggar family, a decal on the side of your tour bus.
We just had politicians' names whenever we would do
Oh,
campaign
really?
tours.
Oh, you put stuff on the side?
Yeah, we would.
No way.
But I think we had a couple different buses that my dad had bought. And one of them was called the Silver Bullet, and it was just silver. It was totally silver. But
Like an Airstream?
whenever, yeah, it kind of looked like that. And then the other one was white, kind of pearly white, and it was really nice. And we were like, this is so fancy. And on that one, they did anytime they would help a politician,
So
with
you're
their campaign,
campaigning.
Then it was
you're
going
to get eyeballs because people don't see those buses all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, talked about travel. I'm curious about food because mealtime's got to be every man for himself.
It's kind of crazy. I remember a few times when we were very young, some of my siblings would take their plate of food, get ready for this, it's disgusting, in the bathroom. They would carry it and put it on the bathroom counter. My mom would be like, don't do that. They're like, but they're going to eat it. If I take
So
it,
it's the
don't
only
take
safe
it.
refuge for them.
Yeah, that's literally what they thought. I'm not going to get to eat my food because somebody's going to take it and we might not have enough for seconds today. But usually my mom would make plenty. I don't know what the deal was, but a couple times she was like, don't do that. Don't take it in the bathroom.
That's wild. So
Gross.
Confession time. Did you
Gross.
ever? Did you ever?
Never. I'm too much of a germaphobe to do that. That would gross me out.
So you'd have a kid go through line, grab his beans and rice with his taco, and then run to the bathroom. Would you lock the door, close the door, and be like, "This is my refuge"?
Yeah. But just if they need to use the bathroom, they would take their plate with them.
Oh,
but
no.
my mom
Are you
actually
serious?
started writing names on plates.
That's good.
Too, and so that way we would know, because we'd always use paper or plastic plates. We rarely used any real plates. I don't think.
Well,
we ever
dishwashing. I mean, I know the nature conservatists, nature people are going to be upset at paper plates.
Yeah.
But
once you put them in the house with all those kids,
yeah, you got so
they're
going
to be
kids.
like running to Costco.
Yeah, you're going to need
to get
4
the paper
dishwashers.
plates.
1,000%. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you just that dishwashing
We already
cycle.
had 3 dishwashers, and the sinks were always full. We had 2 normal sinks that were double. Each of those were double sinks, so that's 4 sinks. And then in the back we had commercial sinks that were 3 massive drum sinks that are really low, like the restaurants use. We had 3 of those, and they would always get filled up, but it was only with the dishes that we were using to like cook with, and to like sometimes cups. We would use cups that were not paper or plastic. We did for a while like styrofoam cups or something, but then my mom would like label the cups with masking tape with each of our names, and then every day or 2 she would just like throw those in the dishwasher. And sometimes we would use like real forks and spoons, and then we would just like throw those in the dishwasher too. But we had a massive dishwasher that was commercial. So my dad got it at like a restaurant supply place. He would always go to auctions and buy any of the restaurant equipment for our house. So we had massive refrigerators. We had, I think, 3 deep freezes in our pantry. Our pantry was one that like, it was inside the garage. And so the garage bay was full. That was our pantry, the entire thing. And he got restaurant shelving, and we put like all of our canned goods on there. My dad worked for a grocery store, and so he would stock the shelves where it looked like a grocery store when you'd walk through.
Wow.
So all the cans would be pulled to the front, and
I remember that. I remember going through there and
yeah,
seeing
you'd have to have
that.
all the labels to where they were like straight. So it was like very organized.
Wow.
And yeah, it was wild. Like just living like you would if you were working at a restaurant almost.
What do you think the average check would be if you guys went out to a decent restaurant like Olive Garden?
Oh my goodness. I can't even guess. I mean, it was a lot.
It's got to be $700.
Oh yeah, easily that much. And I think that we wouldn't even get drinks at restaurants ever. There was a place called Taco Tico, and we were allowed to go there because they had, I think it was like 10-cent tacos or something. And we could eat as many tacos as we wanted. And it was like a Sunday special. So we would go there, and it ended up shutting down, and we can't figure out why.
Well, I think I can figure out why.
There was another restaurant that we would go to too. It's called AQ Out Back.
Yeah.
And it had a massive playground. So we would go there, and they had 49-cent kids meals, and the meals were so good. It was like the best chicken in town. They would give you a big piece of chicken, like 2 or 3 sides, a drink, and a dinner roll that was like made fresh, and it was so good.
For
all for
49
cents.
49 cents.
And we would go there like every kids' night.
Are they still in business?
Kids eat free at some of those places too, and that one's out of
So
business
I feel
too.
like when they do the kids eat free, they don't expect 2 adults to come in with 19 kids.
So years into us going to that restaurant, they changed their thing to where it was like per paying adult, you'd get like 2 free kids meals per paying adult. And so as we got
you
older,
probably told all your friends.
yeah, all of our friends would go there. They would go, but it was for the 49-cent kids meals. It was perfect because we could all eat. We would play on the playground for like hours. We'd probably be out there for like 3 to 4 hours playing on the playground. It was wild.
Your parents would leave, come back 3 hours later.
Seriously. Yeah.
Wow,
Crazy.
that's wild. You know, it's the little things in life that you don't think about.
Yeah.
Because they're second nature. Like getting out the door, grabbing a meal, stopping at McDonald's. But for your family was a huge deal.
And we would rarely eat out. I mean, those were the only times that I really remember eating out. We would get Eureka pizza, which was like cardboard, basically. That's what they say now. My siblings say that. But it was good. Like back then we thought it was the best deal ever.
Yeah.
And those pizzas were super cheap. And so we would get a whole bunch of
Sometimes
those.
you just need cheap pizza though.
This was
too cheap.
this was cheap. I love a good Costco pizza. It's so cheap. I mean, we fed like everyone at Felicity's party for like $60.
Costco pizza, let's go.
It's the best. I love that. I'm all for it. But this was not Costco pizza.
Yeah.
This was like really dry and not the best.
Okay, all right. Are they still in business? Because they're going to be upset with your comments here.
They probably are.
You're going to get some pushback
I don't know
from
actually if
Eureka
Eureka is still a thing.
But it's a genre. Cheap pizza is a genre.
Yeah,
people
it is.
appreciate
Like Little Caesars. I think Little Caesars was like so much better than Eureka.
So I went to
That says
McDonald's
anything.
this morning because I had to take Felicity out, and we got breakfast.
I like it. What did you order?
So
McGriddle?
I got her 2 strips of bacon.
Okay, I like it.
I got a bagel, like a steak, egg, and cheese bagel.
Okay.
A coffee. Well, I got the meal, so I got a small coffee and a hash brown with it, and then I got her an orange juice. Guess how much it was?
Oh my word, it's going to be so expensive. Was it $20?
27.
No. $27 at McDonald's. That's
for two
wrong.
strips of bacon.
You didn't use the app.
I didn't use the app.
See,
You're
you
right.
didn't use the app. I am
what would that have saved me?
I'm so all about saving money to where I'm like, even if we have money, I'm going to save money. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to tell you what deal we got.
What would that save you?
So they have 20% off on their app. This is not an ad, but they always have like 20% off, or breakfast meal is $5 today. That. And then I just go on the app and I see
that's a
it
rookie
says
mistake
deals.
for me. That's a
I
rookie
learned
mistake.
that from Jana.
Yeah.
Jana, my sister,
Really?
is like, she loved McDonald's, and so she would go there so often, and the way that she justified it was by using the app.
Oh, that's good.
And that's what I started doing.
I've kind of been on a McDonald's kick. This is an aside, but I would challenge anyone to tell me if there's a better sandwich than a double quarter pounder with cheese.
There is. It's healthier at In-N-Out.
No, so okay. In-N-Out's a better experience. I'm going to go to In-N-Out 9 out of 10 times.
It's cheaper.
But as a singular sandwich, I challenge anyone to tell me what a better sandwich than a double quarter pounder with cheese. It's the greatest sandwich.
Okay.
I think in existence.
Okay.
It's my current opinion. I could change it. Well, that's cool. Thanks for letting us into your life. You know, it's funny because I've stepped into your world and I've gone to the big house. I've visited the family and obviously for years, but there's little aspects that you don't think about.
Yeah. Grocery shopping was one that we didn't fully cover, but we would fill up like 4 or 5 carts of food. And it was like Aldi.
How would your mom do that when you were all young? I mean, less kids, but
I don't know how she'd do it. She would try to take like us on a one-on-one trip. And so she would like take 1 or 2 of us kids. Yeah. Like a lot of times you would, but at Aldi, she would just like, that's the place that we shop the most. We would always try to get whatever we could at Aldi because it was cheap. We would get flats and cans of ravioli and of like green beans, corn. We would eat them out of the can. So ravioli, we would eat it cold, and that was our meal a lot of days.
I love it.
And then we would eat green beans out of the can, and we'd pour salt and vinegar in there in a can and just eat it. And that was our favorite. And actually, it's making me hungry for that right now.
You're crazy.
I go down to Aldi.
But if you think about it, unless you had a full-time chef preparing 3 meals a day, you've got to just let these kids run in there and grab their stuff.
Like we would also have that. And so my mom was really good about like, she would make massive casseroles of like green bean casserole, whatever casserole, tater tot casserole. Oof. Yes. And all that. And so
I like how that pained you to say that. Like,
it's okay.
You said that and went, oh.
I think all my siblings would say the same thing because we all loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then when the show came around, everybody who came to our house every other day would be like, oh, tater tot casserole. We really want the famous tater tot casserole. And we would be like, are you kidding me? This is so gross. Don't make us eat it again. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Good
memories.
Good memories. Growing up
funny.
with 18 siblings.
Yeah, it was good.
It's wild. Well, there's more to dig into that, but we'll save it for another time.
Next time.
Yeah. Maybe. So I'm curious if, the curiosity I have about you with so many siblings, I wonder if you have that with like someone who grew up with very few siblings.
Like you.
Yeah. Like,
how was that? How quiet was it?
Took me 6 minutes to get out the door. Like that kind of thing. Like,
that's wild. You guys were probably always early, weren't you?
Yeah, probably.
We're just early for everything.
If you're not early, you're late. That's my motto. All right. Well,
so funny.
That was fun. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys.
Yeah.
And next time we'll talk about me growing up with 2 siblings.
I love it. I'm going to just have a lot of questions for you.
I'll be like, yeah, mealtime was pretty calm. We had 1 car. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out. See you next time.
Bye.